From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry.
I'm simply here to apologize.
So it's male only march. We're gonna attempt to go gay for just 1 month.
Did we just find a dead person in the suicide forest hanging?
I love this pig, Harvey. I cuddled with this pig. I slept with this pig. She was in my life for 2 to 2.5 years, and she lived the best life ever.
How many times can someone say, "I'm sorry," before it starts to sound like a punchline? Because for Logan Paul, apologizing isn't just a reaction, it's a routine, a formula, a brand strategy wrapped in tears, lighting, and perfectly staged regret. From mocking the dead in Japan, to scamming fans out of millions, to abandoning a pet pig like it was leftover merch, every single time he crosses a line, he disappears for a moment, says a few rehearsed lines with wide eyes and a shaky voice, then hits upload on another "I have changed" video. But here's the thing, he doesn't change, he rebrands. So today, we're walking through every single time Logan Paul has issued a public apology. Because when you look at the pattern, you stop seeing a man learning from mistakes and start seeing a man who's mastered the art of dodging consequences. Let's go back to where it all began. Apology number 1, filming a dead man in Japan. It's January 2018. Logan Paul is at the peak of his fame, millions of subscribers, daily vlogs, and an ego the size of the internet. And then he uploads that video, filmed in Japan's Okigahara forest, known as the Suicide Forest. Logan doesn't just stumble across a body, he films it, he zooms in, he laughs. This was supposed to be a moment of awareness, he'd later claim, but the footage showed something different. Logan making lighthearted jokes with a corpse hanging in the background. He nervously giggled and played it off as shock, but for the rest of the world, it was sickening. The backlash was immediate. Celebrities called him disgusting. Mental health advocates were furious. Even YouTube's golden boy status couldn't shield him. People didn't just want an apology, they wanted him gone. Logan responded fast, first with a written tweet, "I didn't do it for views," then a video apology titled "So Sorry," where he wore a grave expression, stared directly into the camera, and uttered that now infamous line, "I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment."
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
But here's where it all starts to unravel. That apology video was monetized. Ads were running. Money was being made. Yes, he was making money from saying sorry for filming a dead body. It didn't take long for people to call it what it was, a scripted, PR-coded performance. Because when your sorry comes with a revenue stream, it's hard to believe it's not just another upload. YouTube eventually stepped in. They suspended his ad revenue, removed him from their premium lineup, and handed out a strike. Logan went silent, announced a break. And he returned weeks later with a documentary on suicide awareness, complete with donations and mental health experts. And his next controversy came exactly 1 month later. Apology number 2, tasering a dead rat for views. It hadn't even been a full month since Logan Paul told the world he was ashamed, that he had learned, that he'd be better. So naturally, he tased 2 dead rats for content. In February 2018, just weeks after the Suicide Forest apology, Logan uploaded a video where he finds 2 dead rodents outside his home. He jokes, "No rat comes into my house without getting tased." And then he electrocutes their corpses. And no, this wasn't subtle. He lifts one of them by the taser wires, laughs, makes faces, all for the camera. The public was furious. The message was crystal clear. Logan hadn't learned anything. He just knew how to fake growth for a thumbnail. Animal rights groups like PETA immediately condemned him. "You're normalizing cruelty," they warned. "You're desensitizing your young fans." And they weren't wrong. This time though, there was no apology, no video, just silence. But YouTube wasn't having it. They suspended all monetization on his channel. Not just the video, all of it. Logan's main revenue stream is now cut off temporarily. And here's the thing, that punishment didn't come because Logan did something outrageous. It came because he did something outrageous after already being in hot water. It was the clearest sign yet that Logan's apologies weren't turning points, they were speed bumps. Tiny pauses in a much longer, reckless ride. Fans noticed, critics noticed, and the internet started asking a serious question. If Logan Paul's idea of growth was shocking a dead animal, what exactly did he learn from Japan? But Logan didn't answer that, because by then he had moved on again, and a year later, he is back in the spotlight, this time offending an entirely new community with a joke that would spark another storm. Apology number 3, going gay for a month, turning identity into a joke. Fast forward to January 2019. It's been a year since the Suicide Forest debacle. Logan has got a podcast now, a fresh haircut, and a shiny new image, one that screams reformed. But deep down, the same old Logan was still holding the mic. During an episode of Impulsive, Logan and his co-host start joking about their New Year's resolutions. Work out more, drink less, typical stuff. Then Logan blurts out, "March, male only March. We're going to go gay for a month."
So it's male only March. We're going to attempt to go gay for just 1 month.
Go gay for a month, like it's a fad, a challenge. Something you can switch on and off like his apology face. The backlash was immediate. The LGBTQ+ community wasn't laughing. GLAAD, the biggest LGBTQ advocacy group in the country, clapped back with one sentence, "That's not how it works, Logan." And they were right. Because when you treat someone's identity like a costume, it's not just a bad joke, it's a harmful one. Especially when your audience is millions of young, impressionable viewers. So Logan did what Logan does. He tweeted an apology. Very poor choice of words. My fault. Short, safe, forgettable. And to top it off, he invited LGBTQ+ advocates onto his podcast, framing it as a learning opportunity. But here's the thing. If your first instinct after upsetting an entire community is to turn the backlash into content, are you actually learning? Or are you just repackaging controversy for clout? Critics weren't buying it. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. This is exactly what that tool wants, everyone talking about him. Because at this point, the formula was obvious. Say something outrageous, get dragged, apologize, and get more clicks. There were no YouTube strikes this time, no sponsors pulling out. But something deeper started to crack. People began realizing Logan Paul didn't have a controversy problem. He had an identity problem. And next, he'd put that problem on full display by turning on one of his closest friends. Apology number 4, disrespecting religion, when Logan mocked his own co-host. By December 2022, Logan Paul wasn't just a YouTuber. He was a WWE star, a podcast host, and a full-blown brand. But no matter how many wrestling belts or energy drinks he collected, he still couldn't pin down one basic concept: respect. On an Impulsive podcast episode, Logan got into a heated argument with his own co-host and longtime friend, Janko, a devout Christian. George calmly asked for respect. Logan? He doubled down. He called George's faith effing silly. He said belief in Jesus was delusional. Even suggested George should go to therapy because he believes in God. Let that sink in. He told his friend that believing in God meant he needed mental help. The internet exploded. Clips of the exchange went viral, fast. And for once, it wasn't just the usual Logan haters. Even non-religious viewers were disgusted. "I'm not even Christian," one comment read. But the way Logan mocks faith here is beyond disrespectful. It wasn't just disagreement, it was bullying, caught on camera. George, visibly hurt, said, "I know people that hate me that treat me better about my faith than you, and you're my best friend." The vibe was uncomfortable, and the damage was done. Once again, Logan found himself trending for all the wrong reasons. So he did what he always does. The next episode, he publicly apologized. He admitted he crossed a line, said he took the jokes too far, and told George he was sorry. George, being the bigger man, forgave him. But fans didn't. Because the pattern was now undeniable, Logan only apologizes after he's dragged by the internet. And it wasn't just strangers calling it out anymore this time, it was someone who actually knew him. That made it feel different, more personal, more real. But Logan still walked away unscathed again. And just weeks later, he'd face his biggest scandal yet. Not for something he said, but for millions of dollars that mysteriously vanished. Apology number 5, the Crypto Zoo scam. By early 2023, Logan Paul had finally found something bigger than boxing, podcasting, or even controversy. He found crypto. And like every YouTuber turned entrepreneur with a cult following, he saw dollar signs. Logan launched Crypto Zoo, a blockchain game where people could buy NFT eggs, hatch them into rare animals, and earn money by doing almost nothing. He promised his fans it would be fun, profitable, revolutionary.
It's a really fun game that makes you money.
But instead they got JPEGs of eggs. The game never worked, the developers were never paid, and the fans lost thousands. Some lost their life savings. Then comes Coffeezilla, a YouTuber who investigates scams. He drops a 3-part expose breaking the entire thing wide open. He interviews developers, exposes internal chaos, and shows how Logan's project was either stunningly mismanaged or an outright rug pull. The videos go viral, the internet goes nuclear, and Logan doesn't apologize, he attacks. In a now-deleted video, Logan calls Coffeezilla a lopsided journalist, accuses him of spreading misinformation, and even threatens a lawsuit.
This journalist, YouTuber, crypto uncoverer guy named Coffeezilla, who's incredible, by the way.
Yeah, he tried to sue the guy who exposed his own fans being scammed. That went about as well as you'd expect. The backlash was brutal. Even Logan's own fans turned on him. So, like clockwork, Logan flips the script. He apologizes on Discord, backpedals hard, says his first response was rash and misaligned. Suddenly, Coffeezilla is no longer a slimy journalist. He's a guy who brought light to the situation. Then Logan announces a recovery plan. He pledges $1.3 million in refunds. Later bumps it to $1.8 million. Sounds generous until you read the fine print. The refund only applied to fans who still held their worthless NFTs. If you sold and lost money, too bad. Oh, and accepting the refund meant you couldn't sue him. Classic Logan. Apologize, with legal strings attached. The public was not impressed. Coffeezilla responded, saying Logan's plan didn't go far enough. Investors were still filing lawsuits. And behind the scenes, Logan was also quietly suing his own CryptoZoo partners, trying to shift the blame again. The CryptoZoo disaster wasn't just another controversy. It was a full-blown financial scandal with receipts. And for once, Logan's apology didn't come with a flashy thumbnail or a redemption arc. It came with legal pressure, viral exposure, and a very real threat to his brand. But just when you thought it couldn't get more soulless, Logan got caught up in a scandal involving a real living animal. One he once called the best decision I ever made, until he left her for dead. Apology number 6, Pearl the pig, the pet he left behind. By January 2023, Logan Paul was already neck-deep in crypto backlash. But then came a story that hit even harder, because this time the victim wasn't digital. It was a living, breathing animal. Her name was Pearl, a pig Logan had once proudly flaunted in his vlogs back in 2018. He called her the best decision I've ever made, took selfies with her, built her into his brand. But 4 years later, Pearl was found alone in a field, half-starved, mutilated, and laying beside another pig that had already died. She had a uterine infection, mangled ears, and was described by rescuers as lucky to be alive. The sanctuary that rescued her, the Gentle Barn, didn't name names, but it didn't take long for the internet to connect the dots. And when they did, the backlash was immediate and brutal. People demanded answers. How could you let this happen? Did you seriously abandon your own pet? Logan responded, but not with an apology. No tearful video, no "I've made a severe lapse" speech. Instead, he sent emails, did a TMZ interview, said he had rehomed her responsibly in 2020 when he moved to Puerto Rico. According to Logan, Pearl lived at a horse ranch with amazing care. But then the ranch owner moved, passed her off to someone else. He insisted, "I didn't irresponsibly rehome her. I did everything right." But here's the problem, he didn't follow up. Pearl was no longer his pet. She was a headline. An animal left to rot in a field while Logan posted training montages and Prime ads. The public saw right through it. There was no apology to Pearl, no apology to the public. Just deflection and damage control. Animal rights advocates chimed in. This wasn't just about one pig. It was about a pattern. Influencers treating animals like props and tossing them aside when the cameras stopped rolling. The phrase irresponsibly rehomed became glued to Logan's name, not because he did it on purpose, but because he didn't care enough to check. No legal consequences, no strikes, just another scandal added to the pile. And the worst part was, it wasn't the first time Logan was careless with life. It was just the first time the victim couldn't sue him, tweet about it, or call him out. But the internet remembered, because Pearl's story wasn't just heartbreaking, it was proof that Logan Paul's apologies don't come with growth. They come with PR statements and legal filters. And that brings us to the real question. If every apology ends in another scandal, was he ever sorry at all? The pattern, when apologies become a business strategy. Let's stop pretending these are isolated incidents. The suicide forest, the dead rats, the going gay comment, the religious mockery, the CryptoZoo scam, Pearl the abandoned pig. Different stories, different victims, same outcome. Logan Paul messes up, the internet explodes, and he drops another carefully calibrated "I'm sorry" video. The dramatic lighting, the long pause, the signature phrase, "I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment." But over time, even that iconic line lost its weight, because Logan didn't change his behavior, he just changed his script. Each apology follows a familiar arc. Step 1, shock the world. Step 2, face backlash. Step 3. Apologize with a somber tone and monetize sincerity. Step 4. Disappear for a week. Step 5. Re-emerge with a rebrand and a new product to sell. It's not remorse, it's reputation management. In fact, Logan's apologies have become so routine, fans have turned them into memes. YouTube comments are filled with jokes like, "Bro discovered consequences." This is the Logan Paul apology cinematic universe. Can't wait for season 7 of I'm Sorry. Even in the comments of his original So Sorry video, 7 years later, people are still asking, who's here in 2025? He hasn't changed a bit. And they're right. Because while Logan says he wants to do better, his actions keep showing otherwise. It's not just tone-deaf behavior, it's calculated chaos followed by commercialized contrition. Logan Paul isn't apologizing to make things right, he's apologizing to stay relevant. Every time he fakes vulnerability, he buys time, buys forgiveness, buys another brand deal. Because here's the harsh truth no one wants to admit. Apologies are part of his business model, and the worst part is that it keeps working. At this point, calling Logan Paul controversial is a compliment. He's not just controversial, he's a masterclass in how to weaponize public outrage and profit off of redemption arcs. Every apology becomes content. Every scandal becomes fuel. Every lapse in judgment becomes a stepping stone in his career. And what's terrifying isn't just what he does, it's that he keeps getting away with it. While other creators have been permanently deplatformed for far less, Logan keeps getting WWE contracts, prime sponsorships, multi-million-dollar deals, and a loyal army of fans who treat apologies like achievements. Because somewhere along the line, we stopped asking, is he sorry? And started asking, what will he do next? And that's the real problem. Logan Paul doesn't have to change. He just has to survive long enough for people to forget. The outrage fades, the algorithm resets, the views roll in, and then he starts the cycle all over again. So the next time Logan Paul says, I'm sorry, remember this video. Remember the victims, remember the pattern. Because apologies are supposed to mean something. And Logan Paul has turned them into a business strategy.